Oh boy, I sure am good at YouTube. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Monatui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our PPL Season 5 Division 1 Week 5 game versus Polymac, coach of the West Coast Wingulls. His YouTube link, as always, will be in the description below. I apologize if this video is like 3 weeks late, because this is not Week 6. We're on Week 6. This game is Week 5 versus Ball. This should have been uploaded a couple weeks ago. I don't really have as many excuses this time. Basically, school ended, and then I got a little bit sick, and then I've just been a lazy piece of shit since then, but we're going to try and break that. So, without further ado, let us just get into our team matchup. As you can see here, Paul decided to bring his Mesprit, his Mega Sizzler, his Garchomp, his Donphan, his Thunderous Therian, and his Mienshao, so a bunch of fast threats, as well as some good bulky offense going on in there as well, such as Mesprit, Sizzler, and the Garchomp, as well as Donphan. On my side of the field, we have a physically defensive Rindo Berry Swampert. We have a not a choice scarf Victini, sub extra belt Victini, which is going to be very useful. 3 attacks, specially offensive, Blue Flare, Grass Knot, and Glaciate to hit pretty much the entirety of his team. We have a Scarf Tydragon. We have a specially defensive Gliscor, we have physically defensive Cofagrigus, and we have a mostly physically defensive Mega Venusaur. So, without further ado, let us get into this game. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember this game at all, and I probably should have watched it prior in order to get an idea of what I was gonna do, but I didn't feel like it. So I hope you guys can forgive me for my extreme laziness, and I hope to not do this in future weeks, even though I'm a piece of shit and probably will anyway. Regardless, we're going to go out into our Swampert, nicknamed Shrek3 Fam instead of Shrek2, which is great. Thank you, Alex, for that nickname. He could go for an Energy Ball, but I'm Rindo Berry, so I can take it. So I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to get up my rocks, as he actually decides to get up his rocks as well. I kind of figured he would, because, you know, my hazard removal on my team is Hypercutter Gliscor, so I figured he'd want to bring rocks and try and get them up as early as possible, knowing that I wouldn't bring removal. Here, fearing possibly an Energy Ball, possibly a Psychic, Grass Knot, something along those lines. I'm just going to go out into our Cofagrigus here, and as you're going to see, he is actually just going to fire off a Psychic. However, because we are Cofagrigus, we will be able to take this relatively well, and then we can possibly fire off a Shadow Ball. Actually, I'm not a physical defensive Cofagrigus. I lied. I am an offensive Trick Room, Life Orb, 2 attacks Cofagrigus, and it's really cool, because I'll be able to go for the Trick Room, and then he doesn't have a good Ghost Resist on his team, or a Ghost Resist at all, so I'm just going to be able to fire off a Life Orb Bullet Punch onto this thing. So as you're going to see here, he's going to send in his Sizzler, which has not Mega'd yet, meaning he doesn't get the extra bulk, and I will be able to fire off the Shadow Ball and do a lot of damage to him, which is very nice, and he is in range of another one. However, he can obviously knock me out with a Bullet Punch, since Bullet Punch ignores the Trick Room. Well, it doesn't ignore it, but Bullet Punch will go first because it's priority, obviously. So I'm just going to go out into my Swampert in order to take up that Bullet Punch, because I know that's exactly what he's going to go for. He can't really afford to do anything else. He can't afford to knock off a U-turn or anything like that. So I'm just going to go into my Swampert on the expected Bullet Punch. As you can see here, that is exactly what he goes for, and Swampert will be able to chew this easily. As you can see, it's not going to do a lot of damage to me, and what I can do is just fire off a Scald, get some damage off onto him, as well as possibly snag the burn. As you can see here, Scald damage is going to go out. We're not going to get the burn, as he is going to be able to roost up back to a decent amount of HP. However, what we will be able to do after that is just fire off another Scald, because even though he has gotten himself back to a decent amount of HP, Trick Room is still up, so if he wants to roost again, he will be risking the burn once again. So we're going to go for a Scald. We're not going to get the burn, but he decides to U-turn out instead of go for another roost. That's pretty good with me. We're also specially defensive, not physically defensive on the Swampert based on how much that U-turn did. Special defensive largely for his Thunderous, so that Grass Knot didn't do too much with the Rindo Berry, which is nice. Regardless, he's going to go out and do his Mienshao. I figure he's going to go for the knockoff, but my Cofagrigus is useless anyway. Like, it outslows everything in his team and it dies to rocks. So what I'm just going to do is send out that Cofagrigus, and as you can see here, it's going to faint, and he is actually going to go for the knockoff, kind of like I expected. However, what I can do here is go out into my Mega Venusaur, and this turns out to be a big mistake, because as you can see here, I'm going to Mega Evolve. He actually stays in, and you remember where last week I didn't notice that Eric's Landers didn't have an item? Remember that moment, because he's gonna go for a Swords Dance, and I'm like, silly Paul, you can't do. I'm a counter to you most of the time, so I'm just gonna go for Leech Seed, because I'm like, he's gonna switch, and he didn't. I was like, okay, Swords Dance is fine. He doesn't get Psycho Cut. He doesn't get anything. Acrobatics. is a thing that he could do. But I was like, there's no way he'd be no item. There's no way I'd miss someone having no item twice in a row. And then he goes for the acrobatics, and that does way too much damage because he doesn't have an item. And I'm just going to go for a synthesis in order to try and get myself healthy again, when I should have just gone for Sludge Bomb, do a lot to him, and sacked off something else on my team. But as you're going to see here, I'm going to get a little bit of Leech Seed recovery. He's still relatively healthy. I'm still kind of healthy, so I did get my Venusaur back to a decent amount of health, but he can knock me out with the next acrobatics. So I'm like, oh, Hydreigon, you can take this hit. Let's just go out into you without, you know, considering anything else. And this was also a terrible play, because as you can see here, we are going to live the acrobatics, but it's going to do so much to the point where it's going to put me in range of rocks, even after the Leech Seed recovery going back onto me. And Paul doesn't have a fairy. Like, he doesn't have a good dragon resist at all. So I am just going to kick like Dragon Balls here, and he's going to go down. But I also just like gave up the best thing against his team, because I am stupid and did that. So I mean, we saved a Pokemon, but it wasn't worth it. I should have just sacked off my Swampert instead to that thing. He's going to send out his Donphan here. He's going to take the Rocks damage. I imagine he's probably going to go for Ice Shard, or he's going to go for Rapid Spin, knowing he can take any hit. He is just going to go for that Ice Shard and just knock me out from the amount of HP where I was at. So Hydreigon goes down. Biggest threat to his team is dead because of my idiocy. And then we are going to send out our Mega Venusaur once again. And this is where I remember, because I'm, once again, stupid, if you recall from earlier. I don't have Giga Drain on this Venusaur, even though he has like 3 things that Giga Drain would be able to hit. I have Leech Seed, Hidden Power Fire, Sludge Bomb, and Synthesis. So I'm just going to go for the Synthesis here, get myself back to a good amount of HP. At this point in the game, it's where I start to play better, but I'm also like, I also prepped like really badly, so you're going to see how that's not really going to help out too much. I'm going to Synthesis up, and then I'm going to go for the Hidden Power Fire. I do have Speed to Sizzler because I do have a decent bit of speed on this thing, or outspeed a possible speed creeping Mega Sizzler, and based on the Shadow Ball damage from my Cofagrigus, I didn't think he had a lot of speed, so we'll be able to knock him out after 2, which is very nice. But then he's going to send in his Garchomp. And this is where Giga Drain would have been super useful, because I was like, okay, well maybe he's Scarfed. But because I don't have that, if he's sub Salic or like sub SD, I can't hit him and I can't break his sub, so I'm just going to go out into my Gliscor here. As you're going to see, he's going to go for the Swords Dance. Kind of unfortunate, because now he's a +2, and this is a bit of a problem to my team. However, I do have Ice Fang on this Gliscor, so we might be able to make something happen here. I can take a +2, whatever he wants to go for, except for possibly an Outrage. He goes for the Dragon Claw. As you can see, we are going to be able to take that. We are going to go for the Ice Fang. However, this is not going to be nearly enough damage to knock him out. If I crit him there, it might have been. If I froze him there, that would have been cool too, but obviously that's asking for Hex. So I'm not going to be doing that. And then I'm going to get a little bit of Poison Heal recovery, but it's not really going to matter because this Garchomp is then just going to click Dragon Claw. And I pretty much lose to this, because Venusaur, like I said, does not have anything to hit this thing. I'm going to send it out now, because it's basically my best hope. If I had my Scarfed Hydreigon in the back still, it would have been really nice, because I would have been able to click Draco Meteor versus this thing. It was the Bonberry, but Draco Meteor doesn't care. It would have knocked this thing out anyway. Probably Dragon Pulse or Dark Pulse would have killed it anyway as well. He's going to go for the Earthquake here. It's not going to be able to knock me out, but again, because I don't have Giga Drain, because I'm not smart, we're just going to fire off a Sludge Bomb. It's going to be resisted. It's not going to get the poison, and then he is going to live. And then basically the rest of my team is going to die to this Garchomp. So as you can see here, Mega Venusaur is going to go down to the +2 Garchomp. Going to crit me, that doesn't matter in the slightest. We are going to go down, and then we are going to send out our Victini, which is not Scarf, it is Expert Belt. We're going to send him out. First time he's hitting the field, he's going to say hi Garchomp, and then he's then going to say goodbye Garchomp as the Earthquake hits and kills him immediately. So that kind of sucks. Then Victini's going to go down, and then what else do I have on my team? I think I have a Swampert left for some reason. Yeah, there it is. There's Swampert, the thing I should have sacked off earlier instead of my Hydreigon, because it's at like that much health, and it's super slow, and it wouldn't have done anything to his team. And yeah, so Swampert's also going to go down. That's fine, because, you know, Shrek 2 is greater than Shrek 3 anyway. That's why he didn't do anything this week. And then we're gonna lose 4-0 to Paul. I'm just gonna get it out of the way like now. I played and prepped like utter trash this game. Well, hang on, let's bring back your face. Where's your face? There's your face. Not to take anything away from Paul, because he prepped well and he played well. He did everything he needed to do. I just played this game like absolute garbage. Once again, I didn't look for the item to not be there. That's the thing I need to do. To thing I at least need to get used to doing because it's happened to me twice in a row now. The first time it almost cost me. It should have cost me the first game, and then it cost me a lot in this game. Not having Giga Drain on Venusaur was pointless. Like, I didn't need Leech Seed, it was just kind of there for filler, and I absolutely should have had Giga Drain. Honestly, while prepping and while playing for this match, my head was not in it. Like, there's not anything bad going on in my life right now, but for whatever reason, my head was just, like, Pokemon was just, like, the last thing on my mind that was going on in my head. Like, it probably because I, like, just finished up finals, and I moved on and whatever. But regardless, this game is 100% my fault, because I played really stupid, I didn't prep optimally, and Paul ended up taking the victory here. Regardless, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll come back strong next week. Next week, we are going up against Will, aka Mukati, coach of the Buffalon Bills, so definitely check that out if you're interested. And, as always, check out my opponent in the description below, and have a nice day, everybody.